Now, 72 of the world's most elite tennis players are in lockdown for 14 days in Melbourne, and the Premier admits there could be more on the way. He was very determined to run this tournament, Michael Kroger, but creating a bubble, dealing with the intensity of COVID in an American sense is not such an easy thing to do.
No, mate. Well, down here in Victoria, where people are basically appalled at what's happening, quite frankly, we love tennis. But, you know, we've been through the hardest lockdowns of anywhere in Australia in Victoria for 10 months, by and large, and then they've been eased a lot. But, of course, we've just had this ridiculous overreaction to banning all these people from Victorians who are in New South Wales from coming home because Andrews is worried about them, bringing this virus back to Victoria and spreading it. Yet he lets 1,200 people come here on chartered flights to play tennis, who then demand these special privileges. I think Andrews is on the wrong planet, and I think Novak Djokovic is on the wrong planet. We don't want this privileged few people to come here ahead of our other Australians who can't get home, and there's 30 to 40,000 of those, and ahead of Victorians who are locked up in New South Wales who are only able to come home from 6 o'clock tonight and have to self-isolate. So Novak, greater player as he is, he's just one of these, privileged people who are not part of the real world. It's a different conversation, but you think he should have dinner with Lydia Thorpe. They're both people talking on a different planet to ordinary Australians from the suburbs, mate.
You've summed it up well. Michael Costa, Djokovic has always been popular at the Australian Open, which has enabled him to go on and win a record number of Australian Open tournaments. But what he did with this submission for easing restrictions in lockdown, he just did it in the wrong postage stamp in the world, didn't he?
Oh, absolutely. And I think there's an underlying theme here. It's not just Djokovic, it's all these celebrities all over the place that are getting exemptions where ordinary Australians, have got to either foot the bill for quarantine or find themselves in very difficult circumstances in terms of their employment and just social activity. I think that's an underlying tension here. And, the notion of a fair go doesn't imply that, the elite get privileged conditions. And we're seeing it everywhere. It's not just Djokovic. I mean, that's the most public. But look what's been going on with, the film stars that are filming up on the Gold Coast and, Byron Bay and all those sorts of places. It's just, it's outrageous.
It doesn't go down too well at all. Now, if you're watching and you are an elite tennis player and you're in your hotel room in Melbourne and you'd like to sort of get a grip on what people think about your demands and how terrible you've done it for the past 2 days, can you just get to know this bloke? His name is David Littleproud. He's a Nationals Member of Parliament. This is what he said to you today.
Harden up. I mean, as I understand it, the get through the first round, there's $100,000 on offer to any player that does that. That's not a bad payday in anyone's mind. So, look, I think there might be a few prima donnas amongst them.
We'll leave that alone now.